Okay, it looks like this is all that's coming, so shall we begin? Okay. So this session we are going to be going through the first part of part 3, which is called The Narrow Road, and that's going to be the way north, a baby's head, Easter lilies, bugs, and leaf stream before we get to go into discussing and writing our own. So, the way north. Haiku, in many ways the most outward, most concrete, and most perceptually grounded form of poetry, is also the most inward. It requires a lot of inner work. Basho titled his greatest work, Oku no Hosomichi, the narrow road to the deep north. Basho traveled a long way north on a journey with his student and fellow poet Sora and kept a diary of his travels. The diary contains many of his most famous haiku. So the narrow road to the deep north is a tangible, outward journey. That is one way of looking at it. But Oku also means within, so you could say one or the other, the way north or the way within. And both are true, and neither is. Basho's understanding, and the reason I think he chose a title that suggests both meanings, is that the way north is the way within. This kind of understanding comes when we realize that in looking out, we are also looking in. We learn it by looking very carefully at the world. Haiku is both a very outward and a profoundly contemplative, inner kind of art. It is not possible to sacrifice either way and still be writing haiku. If we only understand looking out, our poems will have no heart. If only looking in, they are likely to become self-indulgent or obscure. So both are necessary. Shiki came to understand these two aspects of haiku in terms of makoto, sincere feeling, and sase, the sketch from nature. But really they are not two separate things. And this is what brings us to the theme that I chose for today, which is passages. We come now to a baby's head. Sister Benedicta's haiku is, "Turnip in my hand, its cold roundness heavier than a baby's head." This poem won first prize in a contest which was judged by a Japanese haiku master. In his commentary on the poem, the judge wrote, "At some time in her life, the poet must have cradled a dead baby in her arms." Sister Benedicta was surprised when she read this comment. She told me that she had simply taken a turnip from the refrigerator when, holding in her hand, the image of a baby's head came to mind. In fact, she had never held a dead baby. But when I reminded her of the events of 60 years ago, her eyes filled up with tears. Sister Benedicta was born in Spain just prior to the Spanish Civil War. When the war began, her father, the novelist Ramon José Sender, escaped on foot over the mountains, thinking that the authorities would not harm his wife and child. However, not long thereafter, mother and baby were imprisoned. One day, a few months later, her mother was taken out to the graveyard and shot. The man who carried out the execution was a local official whose advances she had spurned several years before. Some of you may have heard the story of her daughter Andrea Sender, who refused to eat and eventually died in prison after her mother was shot. Mistakenly reported in newspapers all over the world, the story of Sister Benedicta's death persists to the present day. So, sometimes when we're writing haiku, we can accidentally pull up something deeper than we intended. Easter lilies. The Easter lilies, no matter how you turn them, blossoms face the wall. And that was also by Sister Benedicta. Easter lilies grow in such a way that the large white blossoms face opposite directions on the stalk. Perhaps it is natural to want them all to face the front so that their beauty can be appreciated, but that is not possible. Whichever way you turn them, some blossoms face the wall. Bugs. Whatever has cut the round holes in these round leaves has carried them off. By Sister Benedicta. A haiku almost never fails to state clearly what is being described or talked about. But this poem breaks that rule in a playful manner. The time is probably late summer, when the leaves are ripe for the harvest of the bugs. At the moment of composition, however, they have already gone, carrying the holes off with them. The poet's observation is tinged with melancholy, but there is a kind of deadpan quality to the observation that also makes it funny. And then there's the idea of the empty spaces, the holes themselves being carried off. Is that even possible? It seems to tease the mind. And then our last section for the day is leaf stem. The place where the leaf has left the stem is perfect for just that purpose. Sister Benedicta. The time is autumn, and the poet has noticed the place where a leaf has left the stem. Looking closely, she sees a notch. Perfect. As human beings, we tend to live in fear of death. Perhaps this is natural. And yet, it must be just as natural to die. In the history of the world, there is no one who has not died. Throughout our lives, on some level or another, we struggle with the idea of death. But the moment of our departure has been provided for. So, haiku is again 5, 7, and 5 syllables. So, any thoughts? Very good, Kino.
This is the one I came up with when I was looking at.
Stars live and die out. Matter constantly evolves, but nothing truly goes.
Yeah, I think that stays within the spirit of haiku, so you're totally okay. Yeah, it's not covered in there. It puts one with the flow of the haiku. But, yeah. But you don't want to the feel of the haiku just to...
Well, knock could also work there. It would still, but it would remove you more. Yeah.
I was going to say it doesn't sound like an oxymoron, if that makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense. Sorry. Just pretend it's the right number. Don't look at it. Don't look at it.
There is a term for those, but I cannot remember what it is, and I've not been able to find it. No. It wasn't the renga. It was a different. It was very similar to haiku, but it wasn't the linked haiku. No, it wasn't couplets. I know I have the basic structure in my mind, but the problem is that it's been so long since doing one of those and reading about those that I don't remember what they were called in order to look and refresh my memory. Me too. Because I hate when that happens.
Yes, I know. Yeah, he tends to check in like once a week or so. He just pops in, makes sure nothing's bad.